G'day, we're checking out around Horsham today. I'm starting off here at Noradjuha Lake. Now, I didn't know how to say this place when I first came across Noradjuha Lake, but we'll have a look around. Noradjuha Lake had a footy ground near here, but here is the hole. And now this was sold off a few years ago, 2015, well, nearly 10 years ago now. I don't know who bought it, hopefully someone local, but it looks fairly well maintained. I don't want to go in there, but we can have a look around. Now, this was also a church and a state school until 1973. That explains the playground out the back here. Well, I believe the Noradjuha Lake Footy Oval was behind this shed here in the paddock. Now, there's not a whole lot to show you. It's part of someone's farm. And if there was something good to show you there, I would go in there, but it's not really worth it. Noradjuha Lake played until 1947 when they merged with Douglas, or I think they used to call themselves Salt Lakes as well. And they became Douglas-Miga Lake. They played here down the road at Wombelano. We'll go and check out what's there now. Before we get there, here's the actual Noradjuha Lake. Now, I've never been here before. I never heard of this before even doing videos on footy grounds. So it's a bit of a hidden gem here. There's a few people camping actually, but a little bit bigger than what I thought, I suppose. Quite significant, I guess, to name it after a lake. Now here's Wombelano. This was a central location between Douglas and Noradjuha Lake. A ground was set up here in 1948 or 1947, late 1947, for the team to use, the newly formed Douglas-Miga Lake. There's this sign on the ground. I'm not really sure what it says. It might say Harrow. So Harrow down the road here is an actual town. I wouldn't really call Wombelano a town. And they ended up merging with Douglas-Miga Lake. So it was 1970 when the Harrow Tigers merged, and they played between Harrow and Wombelano until the 90s. Then they just played at Harrow, and then Harrow ended up merging with Balmoral, and the Douglas-Miga Lake name was dropped. So Harrow Balmoral still go around today, and I think they've gone 2 seasons undefeated in the seniors, which is pretty crazy in the Horsham District League. And the weird thing is that they don't really have juniors at the moment. They have a lack of juniors, but they're such a strong club otherwise. It's a bit of a funny situation, but yeah, they're very strong in the Horsham District League even today. So the Wombelano Oval is privately owned, but I'm lucky the owners have let me have a look around once again. I came here about a year ago. It's one of my favourite former grounds. Just imagining there was games here is pretty crazy. Here's some of the original railing, and then you can see the fence on that side. So they've actually shortened the oval a little bit, but it would have been really, really wide. Apparently cricket was played here up until maybe the early 2010s. A few blokes from Noradjuha Lake kept the club going, but now the goalposts just stand out there, and they've got the livestock. They tend to graze on the oval a fair bit nowadays. Club rooms here, fairly empty nowadays. I recall that the owner doesn't actually have access to them for whatever reason. Douglas Harrow Noradjuha Lake. Now that name no longer goes around. Timekeeper's box there, and look at these old cans. How sick are these? Holes Lemon Twist. Man, that'd have to be from like the 80s or something. Holes Lemonade. Now this looks a little bit newer. Probably a 90s one, I'm gonna guess. Let us know. Away change rooms in here. We had to have a look at what's inside. Man, imagine playing footy and these being your change rooms nowadays. Might not have been too bad back then actually. Looks like it was actually... We got the cricket nets here, and then the netball courts out the back there as well. Pretty crazy. One of my favourite former grounds for sure. There is a light there, but no lights around the oval. I assume they must have had some, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they actually trained in Harrow itself. Now this Coke can, that was from the 80s maybe as well. Man, it's so cool finding stuff like this. It's like a time machine or something. Toilet block here. The old toilets there. Concrete trough. Still work? No. And here's another one. Tarax. Creamy soda. I've never had one of these ones. I actually did drink a creamy soda on the drive here, strangely enough, so that's pretty funny. Wombelano was unreal. Now I've made the 10-minute drive to Douglas, and the Douglas team were originally known as Salt Lakes before merging with Noradjuha Lake and then playing at Wombelano. Not really much to this town, but there is more at Douglas than there is at Noradjuha Lake, and there is actually a tennis court, and they might be used, I'm not sure actually, but they look fairly recently used. Now apparently until 1947 they played in a football oval in this paddock here past the tree. There's nothing much to see, there's no cricket pitch from what I can tell either, so it is a former footy ground but nothing much to see. The lines are starting to go on the tennis court, but there are a couple tennis balls lying around. Maybe they play socially or something like that, but yeah, I don't think they're playing any serious competitions here maybe. Just chatting to one of the locals, and apparently the footy ground was out in that paddock, so that's right, and the tennis club only finished up a year ago. A little bit sad, but there you go. If you wonder why they were called Salt Lakes originally, well, here's why. Here's a salt lake, and there's a few of them around here, I reckon. Then we got a very traditional Victorian power pole, which is wooden, and it's got the springs on the top there, so that's very handy for your GeoGuessr games, if you're ever doing that game. But anyway, Salt Lakes. A club that used to play against Douglas-Miga Lake is Noradjuha, and here we are. It's still a current cricket ground. They're not playing today. Seems like they've put sand out, but they're playing away games. Unfortunately, I didn't rock up on an actual home game, which would have been ideal, but they still go around in the cricket. Noradjuha played in the Central Wimmera Lower Star League until 81, and by then it was called the West Wimmera League, but that league finished and they joined the Horsham district like a lot of the clubs did from that previous league, which is sort of the West Wimmera region and around Neil, places like that. And they did win a premiership early on, 1984, but then they had to merge with nearby Quantong. We're actually closer to Nanamuck, and I thought Nanamuck would actually be a bit of a better merger. I think that's Mount Arapiles over there, which is near Nanamuck. So they merged with Quantong, and they only ever played one season of footy here. I think like maybe the first season they played a footy game here, but now they just play out of Quantong. They don't play any footy at Noradjuha. They merged with Quantong in 1997. It's not really that far away, but Quantong is closer to Horsham. A lot of the players would be from Horsham itself, so it makes sense for them to play there rather at Noradjuha because it's just closer for all the players. Up here in the scoreboard, not a bad little view, but I mean the Quantong ground is a fair bit better, so this one's on a bit of a slope, and yeah, there's a bit more wind here maybe than out of Quantong, but it is a nice little location. I think some of the lads from the cricket club like to jump up in the old scoreboard here and perhaps watch the cricket being played. Looks like they put in a new pitch here at Noradjuha. Very, very schmick. Very nice. This might explain why they're playing away games early on in the year. I don't know if they've perhaps got the ground quite ready yet for the season. Here's the court, netball, tennis. Looks like it's got tennis markings over here. We'll see if we can find some netball markings. Not sure what the netball markings are. Maybe the tennis was more recently played here, obviously not for a fair while. You can see in the club room here of the netball that they had the red and the green bench of the grass parrots. Apparently Noradjuha were also known as the Nardoos, so perhaps they used both nicknames. There looks like there would have been a building here, maybe some other type of club room. Not sure if this toilet blocks gets a whole lot of use nowadays. The concrete one there and a bit of grass in this bowl. But this ground is still used for cricket, so maybe they'll clean it up in a minute. So apparently it was 98, their second season after the merger started in 1997. So 98 was the final game played here for footy. And in the club rooms you can see the trophies of Noradjuha. I assume they're probably cricket ones, not footy, but there's even some old Melbourne bitter cans it seems, but anyway, not a bad little setup. The cricket club are known as the Bull Ants. I think they incorporate Tolondo as well. I think they're Noradjuha Tolondo Bull Ants. Here's pretty much the rest of Noradjuha. There is a primary school here that closed down in the 90s, 1996. I believe that is private property. There's an old playground there and whatnot. But yeah, that's about it for Noradjuha. There's probably a few more houses at Quantong anyway. So I've come to Quantong, and this is where Noradjuha merged with. There is a cricket game going on right now, and that's going down the leg side. They're running one. Anyway, I tried to look in the club rooms there, and it wasn't even open, but there wasn't too much in there. I have been here before for a game, the Horsham District Grand Final just 2 years ago, and that was good coming here. But yeah, nothing too much to see in terms of Noradjuha, unless someone can let me know. I've arrived in Horsham, and here's Coghlan Park, the home of the Horsham Saints. I've never been here before, didn't really know what to expect, but it's actually very schmick. It's in a very nice part of Horsham. There's even new houses here, which I didn't expect. So very nice around the river sort of area. It's certainly not the Bronx. It's not the Bronx area of Horsham, and that's a thing. This footy ground is right next to a school, which is St. Bridget's College. Now, this college started up in 1968. It was the senior school of St. Michael's, and Horsham Saints, they used to be called St. Michael's for a very long time, until the late 90s. St. Michael's started up in 1945, playing in the Horsham District League, and then they wore green with a gold V, not the Saints jumper. It would be in 1993 when the St. Michael's Club stepped up to the Wimmera League, which is the bigger league, bigger than the Horsham District League. And yeah, St. Michael's became the secondary club, well actually the third club of Horsham at the time. Today they're the secondary club. You could call them the first club if they're going well. But in 2000 the club adopted the secular name of the Horsham Saints, and a lot of people wouldn't even know they had a connection to the Catholic school next door. There's some current AFL players that play for the Horsham Saints, so Tom and Jared Berry, who just won a premiership. There's also Darcy Tucker, and I believe Joel Freyer came from here as well. Every week there's Wimmera or Horsham District games broadcast on the local radio, so I assume they would do it from there. There's also some sponsor signs on this plastic picket fence, but there's also some temporary ones as well, just plastic signings, which is interesting. You don't see that heaps. There are some proper signs as well. I love how this sign has suddenly become retro with the old Instagram and Twitter. It's not even Twitter anymore. X. The Saints won senior flags in 2015 and 16, and this would have been such a significant moment because the other team in town, the Horsham Demons, they've dominated the Wimmera League for years. In the 20-year period, they nearly won every year, so way too many to count. But the Horsham Saints did get a couple wins, and I'm sure they would have been very happy with that. So because the old blokes are playing bowls next door, I was able to have a look inside and have a look at a bit of the merch there. So pretty cool to see that. I didn't actually think I'd be able to look at it today, so a little bit of a bonus look for you. We'll finish up today's video with the Horsham City Oval, where the Horsham Demons play, the premier team of the Wimmera League for many years. I think they've won 26 premierships. This would have to be the nicest oval in Horsham. It's getting upgraded. Big stage. They're spending a heap of money on this flash stage, which is slightly controversial, I think, but there is a grandstand here, which is very nice. Notable players would be Adam Goods, Jake Lloyd, Ben Hobbs. The last two, they won premierships as like 15, 16-year-olds when Horsham were really dominating the Wimmera League and no one else was winning. And then they went on to have good AFL careers. I didn't know it was also Sawyer Park City Oval. And this is the plan they had. Will be good when they can actually have a Wimmera Grand Final here. There's the stage, which is interesting. Oh, Sawyer Park's out the back, so that's why it's called that. There is a bit of a park out the back there. More of a plan here. Sporting rooms. I mean, these rooms are a bit old for a good ground. I suppose they do need an upgrade. Coghlan Park is a little bit fresher, but this has a bit more tradition, maybe. This shed is actually in the Horsham Demons colours of navy with maroon. It's more of a Fitzroy style design, but they don't have a monogram. A little bit interesting, but it's their tradition and I quite like it. Looks like a new scoreboard, timekeeper's box, perhaps commentary as well. It's a bloody flash stage. I wonder what the point of it is, but this upgrade has been going on for ages. I came here at the start of the year and didn't really look a lot different, so I wonder what's been going on the past year. Suppose I've been working on it. The netball courts have been upgraded. It's a very nice setup here, but there was a building over here, I believe. I believe it was here where the Horsham United change rooms were. So they were actually a co-tenant of City Oval, probably the lesser known club, and they merged with Nadamuck in 2014. But I don't know how much of a merger it is. It seems like Nadamuck sort of just continued going. They absorbed them, maybe would be a better word, but yeah, they might still continue on. I don't know enough about Nadamuck to know that for sure. So Horsham United, also known as the Horsham Diggers due to their connection to the RSL club, they were a merger of Imperials and Wonwonda, and played at another oval. We might go there another day, and then later on shared City Oval with the Horsham Demons. They would be mostly forgotten nowadays. I believe Darcy Tucker might have played there as a very young kid. Just through here past that servo is where the main road is that goes from Adelaide to Melbourne, so you might be familiar with that. Here is the old timekeeper's box. No training permitted in the grandstand. You can't run up it for your training, not allowed. Well, that's it. There's a quick look around Horsham. There's still plenty more to discover in the Wimmera region, so let us know what you want to see. And yeah, cheers, thank you, see ya.